You're listening to the AZREIA Show. If you're looking for quality real estate investing information that you can trust, you've found it. Stay tuned and join the tens of thousands of members that have already benefited from AZREIA, your home for education, market information, support, and networking opportunities that will advance your real estate investing career.
Welcome to another episode of the AZREIA Show. I'm your host, Marcus Maloney. We have our executive director and co-host, Mike Prete here.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking with Devon Kennard, former NFL player, now successful real estate investor. And we're going to get his background, get his story, and talk about what he used, how he used the NFL as a vehicle into real estate and vice versa, where he could retire on his terms versus having the NFL dictate to him. So, Devon, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, so give us your backstory. We know you're a couple of generations NFL players, so kind of give us that backstory.
Yeah, my dad played 13 years in the NFL. We ended up in Arizona because he actually played for the St. Louis Cardinals, and then they got moved and became the Arizona Cardinals. So he was a part of that transition. My family moved to Ahwatukee area. That's close to the facility. The same facility that Cardinals are at now is the same facility they're at way back in the day. So parents moved to Ahwatukee, and that's where I ended up growing up and being born. So, I'm a local AZ kid, went to Desert Vista High School, and, went to elementary, middle school, and all that in Ahwatukee, and then went to USC for college, and then played 9 years in the NFL. So it was cool being born and raised here. And then, kind of the reluctant thing when I was coming up is like, oh, I'm going to get out of Arizona and I'm not going to come back.
Right.
I'm going to spread my wings. But I got to explore and travel a lot of places, live a lot of places, and then you gain so much appreciation for home. And, so my last few years in the NFL, I ended up playing for the Cardinals, played 3 years with the Cardinals, and it was just like, man, there's a lot of great places. I love traveling and exploring, but there's no place like Arizona. And so, I moved back here, and, now I'm a few years retired in 2023, so a couple years out of the league, and just growing my real estate portfolio and my lending company here locally.
Okay. So why real estate for you, right? Versus stocks, crypto, some of those other investment strategies?
Yeah. So for me, when I first got drafted in 2014, I kind of went through this cycle of everyone in the locker room was telling me what they were investing in, and everybody was stock market. Like, oh, I have this financial advice or that. So I did that for a little bit because it felt like that's what I was supposed to do.
Right.
These other people were doing it. But I had this mindset. I was drafted in the 5th round. There's reports as like, oh, I was just going to end up being a special teams player, maybe only play a couple years. So my mindset was like, I want to use this money as much as I can to put myself in a position to where I have enough income coming in to, sustain my lifestyle and do what I wanted to do. So my first number was like, I wanted to get to $10,000 a month. And I didn't see that happening in the stock market. It's like, it was going up and down. It just wasn't doing what I felt I wanted. I wanted, like, if I was going to only play 3 years in the NFL, I wanted to, like, get to the point where I had an investment portfolio that was generating me $10,000 coming fresh out of college. That was a ridiculous amount of money. And I'm like, that'll give me a nice apartment, a car. Like, I'm living good. So that's why I got started. And reluctantly, knowing what I know now, I actually didn't start investing here, though, because I'm from here, went to LA for college at USC, and then got drafted by the New York Giants. In my mind, those were all pretty expensive markets. So I chose the Midwest because you can buy a $100,000 property and charge $1,300, $1,400 rent. So anybody who knows like the 1% rule, it was crushing that. So I was buying in the Midwest, and those properties have performed great for me over the years. But when I really look at it now, it's like if I would have just bought here, the appreciation from 2014 to now would have been ridiculous. So hindsight 2020 is I've kind of like learned, and it adapts to how I am now to where I really have my lending business. That is my cash cow. It is generating the income to sustain my lifestyle. But I like to buy deals here because of the appreciation. But you got to recognize that in this market, it's not a great cash flowing market. Like your cash on cash return, especially once you put debt on it, is not going to be that great in most cases. So, it's that trade-off of that. But so early on, it was like, all right, cash flow markets, Midwest, do that, get to 10,000. So I ended up scooping up 40 properties over my career. And that's how I built that up. And then towards the end of my career, I started lending to other people who were doing fix and flips, and it just kind of built up from there.
So usually you hear these stories, unfortunately, like people blow their money when they first get into the league. So what was different with you?
I felt like a sense of responsibility. Like, my parents didn't come from the best area in Northern California, a town called Stockton. If anybody knows California, it's a pretty dangerous place, and my dad made it out. Like, so my dad was the one that like changed our family trajectory by getting us out of there. And for me, I remember as a young kid, I just always felt like it was my responsibility to kind of like take the baton and take it further. Like, he did the hard work on like getting us out of the hole. And now it's like, all right, well, I'm starting with more of a clean slate. Like, I got to grow up in a good neighborhood. I got to do all these things. I'll go back and see, how he had to grow up and hear those stories. And it's like, I don't know, I took a sense of like pride. Like, I got to do something with this. So yeah, I think it started with that as a young kid, and that's motivated me in football. But also, like, I hated that notion. I remember even being at like DV of like the jock athlete, and like, I'm like, so I always got good grades. I was like, I can do both. Like, I wanted to be able to have success on the football field and professionally. So while I was young, that was school. And then as I got older, it was like in business. So I think that I was just kind of wired that way, but having an example and having the motivation from my dad definitely helped.
Awesome, man.
So investing in the Midwest, right? So that's what you needed at the time. You needed that cash flow at the time because your goal was 10K, right? So talk about, if you don't mind, Mike, talk about how you navigated, right, being in the NFL, investing out of state or investing here. Did you have a property manager? Did you have a team? How did you set that up?
Yeah, so I still believe this. Like, people get overwhelmed with investing, especially out of state. And you really just need your core force. So you need your deal finder. So that's your agent, your wholesaler. Maybe it's another investor who's like feeding you deals. You need a contractor if there is work that needs to be done that can handle the work. You need a property manager, and then you need your lender. So if you can put those four pieces together, then you can invest pretty much anywhere in the country. So for me, people always were surprised as I was building my portfolio, like, how are you able to balance that in football? And since, like, if you put the right systems in place and you have the right team in place, it wasn't taking me a whole lot of time. Like, because I had property management, I'm looking at monthly statements. I got to do that once a month, and I'll spend my off day really reviewing the statements. If I had any questions, if anything came up, that's what I did. In the off season, that's usually when I went on aggressive mode on purchasing. I had a little more free time. So it's like, I would like to add 5 more properties. So that's where I'm really communicating heavy with the deal finder, finding me the deals and all that. And then I would set parameters around it. Like, even with my deal finder, don't send me 100 deals. I don't want to be on a wholesale list where I'm getting 100 deals. While I was playing, I can't review all that. Yeah. So I'm a serious buyer, but I need you to do that work.
This is what I'm looking for.
This is what I'm looking for. We need to fit in this box. You do the work and send me those. And if they fit and I like them, I'm gonna buy them. Yeah. So that's kind of how I've always built the relationships. And then even here locally now, it's not that much different. Like, I still don't want to property manage. Luckily, my wife doesn't mind property managing, at least for now. As our portfolio grows, we might have to offset that. But I'm never going to be the one managing our properties. One, because I don't want to. Two, because of my background. Somebody might be, my back, my left leg. So I'm like, real quick. So I stay 10 degrees removed. Intentionally for those two reasons. So I always want to have that. And then now I have my lending company where I'm lending to fix and flippers and developers. But with that, it puts me in rooms where I have a lot of opportunities. So when I do want to buy, it's not that hard to find opportunities. So I feel like it feeds itself.
Okay. So what are you doing now?
I'm really focused on my lending company right now because what I found, especially if I'm going to be investing in Arizona, is the play is appreciation. And I can buy deeper because I can have the relationships and I can buy a good property, renovate it. I got good contractors. So I can force equity, but the cash on cash return is not outstanding if you're going to put debt on it and all that. So my mindset was like, I want to build my lending business up to where it's generating enough excess capital where I can pull off some of the profits from that to purchase those, and they go hand in hand. So my lending company, I'm personally not getting any tax benefits from that because that's ordinary income, but the cash flow is way higher than what it is in real estate. So that's kind of how I'm offsetting. And I'm really focused on the lending to build that up, and I want to build great relationships with good borrowers who, I want to help them become millionaires by helping them fix and flip or develop projects all over the valley, and I'm gonna take my spread in that from the interest I charge, and then when the time's right, I'll start buying up properties, and it'll be more so legacy plays of like these are properties I intend on holding for the long term and play the tax benefits, cost segregation, and do that. So I want to balance the two, but I would say over the next 5 years, I'm more focused on my lending company and building that momentum there, because I think that's what's going to feed all the purchases I want down the line.
Okay. So what are you looking for from a borrower with your lending?
I prefer somebody who's experienced. So what's different between me and other lenders is like, I call myself a private lender. It's not that different than hard money lender, but the big difference is I'm lending my own personal capital and capital I fully control. So if you go to traditional hard money lender, they are really brokers lending other people's money. They're connecting you as the borrower to whoever their capital source is. When you work with me, I am the capital source. So I don't have as much money. I don't have $100 million institutional money behind me. So I get to be selective and slowly and organically grow a borrower list that we can build a great relationship. But with that, I can be more flexible. I can lend to a higher LTV, because the big hard money lender, they have to fit in their box. And they can't go outside of it. For me, if I ever have to deal with a default or a foreclosure with a borrower, I have the capabilities of renovating the property and taking it over myself.
You could do it yourself.
The other lender, they're fire selling. You don't pay, they got to take over the property, they're just selling it. So I'm looking at what the ARV is on a property, and so I'm able to lend at a higher value, knowing my exit strategy, if all hell breaks loose and I got to take over, is actually to finish the product. Okay. So my vantage point and my risk profile is different than other lenders because of my business model. So I feel like that gives me a strategic advantage, and with that, I charge a little higher than some lenders, but I go to a higher LTV and I have more creative solutions. Okay. I can cross collateralize. I'll look at second position loans on residential, on investment properties you have. So I could be more creative, and I found many borrowers appreciate it.
Excellent. So is it 6 months, year? You're just
all mine are a 1 year term.
1 year,
no prepayment penalty. So payback. Standard loan for me is 12% annualized. So it's more like you can probably get from some of the bigger lenders. You could probably get like 10% right now. So it's a little bit more than that. But if you plan on getting in and out of a property quick, in 6 months, the difference between 10 to 12% annualized isn't that much. And when you factor in, I'm lending at a higher LTV and things like that, it actually becomes a wash.
It's a better opportunity for the investor to get in, right? Especially with somebody that's experienced, they can get in, get out, and keep that money turning.
Keep the money turning much quicker.
So what if, so there's different lenders, like, so I wholesale too, right? Sometimes we just take it down, clean it out, sell it, and we're done in 30 days. Do you have like a minimum, or is it prorated for the month?
I mean, you just got like, no, I don't have any minimum. So if a wholesaler came to me and they're doing it themselves, they can do that. They're just going to have to pay the 1% origination fee and then the prorated interest. But if they're turning it in a month or less, I don't care. Let's get through it. I made my point and the prorated interest, and then hopefully they got another one that they plan on doing it again. So
right after that,
the velocity of money works for me and works for them.
Okay. Yeah. All right. How did you get into the lending space?
So as I was building my portfolio, towards the end of my career, I started to see that the cash on cash returns were going down. So when I was in the Midwest, I was buying more or less turnkey properties, which, if for any listeners out there, turnkey is essentially, you didn't really have to renovate it at all. Like I essentially was buying it from a fix and flipper. They probably bought it for 30 grand, put 30 into it. They're all in 60 and they sold it to me for 100. I didn't care because I didn't want to find the $30,000 property while I was playing. So I'll pay the 100. I'm charging rent for $1,400. So I started to see that, but that spread was getting squeezed. Interest rates were rising, property values were going up. So even in the Midwest, the cash on cash returns weren't as robust as they once were. And then I was starting to have the desire to want to kind of level up and invest more here. And the cash on cash returns really weren't looking that good. So that's where I was looking at opportunities. And, in 2022, 2023, I did a couple of loans on the side with a couple of borrowers I knew. And I was seeing the cash return on that as opposed to some of the properties I was underwriting. And I'm like, it's night and day. And this was easy as heck. Like once you put the systems in place on the lending
paperwork.
side, yeah, it's paperwork. And I'm process and SOP oriented, so I'm like, I build the systems around it. I can like kind of just go through my checklist. So that's where I got into it. And as soon as I retired in 2023, I really looked at that and I'm like, you know what? I've already done a few loans over the last couple of years, not knowing what I was doing. I'm going to really learn this business and I'm going to start my own company. And it's taken off. I'm a little over 2 years now and I've funded over $13 million, all private capital, and I'm just going to keep growing it from there.
Okay. Did you disposition like your Midwest properties to help fund?
In the process now. So I already had enough capital to get it funded, but there's a couple things I did. So one, just straight my own cash, what I had. Two, with my portfolio of real estate, I took line of credits across. Okay. So essentially arbitrage that. So arbitrage is essentially my line of credits for 7%. I'm charging 12%. So that means there's a 5% spread on that. So I was doing that, and then, you know, I've raised some investor money, family and friends who are like, bro, I don't want to do that myself, but I love the business model. Can I work with you and do some loans with you? So gotten some money from that. But now I'm in a place where I've had proof of concept. So I'm building better banking relationships, going to get line of credits based off of the actual business, while also simultaneously I am about to start selling a lot of my out-of-state real estate, bumping it into the lending company that's going to give me higher, you know, volume of better return. And then that's going to allow things to scale up faster. It's kind of my plan.
Nice. Where are you at in the Midwest?
I was in Ohio, sold all that already. I'm in Kansas City. I have some stuff in Tennessee. And then the only East Coast market that I'm in Tampa Bay. I have 2 sixplexes and a duplex out there in St. Pete. So it's, you know, really, but those properties are awesome. But the only problem out there, which is the hurricanes, and it's insurance. Like insurance is going up, and then even with the insurance going up, they won't cover for her. So I'm like, so if a hurricane does knock my house over, so eventually I even might. Those Tampa properties, their market is very similar to Arizona, so those properties are crushing it, like a ton of appreciation, all of that. But I'm like, the risk in that, I'm like, so eventually I'm least in a hurry to sell those ones because they're performing so well, but eventually I'll probably even sell those just because that risk profile. Every hurricane season, I'm like, please God, don't knock my fit.
Go to Miami, not to Tampa.
So 2 years here in Arizona, hard money lending. What else? Are you working on anything else?
I would say that's my main focus, but besides that, you know, I do still buy, you know, if I see a great deal that I really like, I'll take it down. So, I'll do that, but I'm really focused on the lending right now. I feel like keeps me busy, gets my hands full, and building my network of contractors, of wholesalers, of agents, you know, the whole bit. So, you know, my goal is, you know, to be a household name in the lending space when people are looking for private money and not just trying the bigger institutional. So I think, you know, I'm making headway there in that direction.
So what's the Arizona market look like for you right now?
What I'm saying, there's a mixed bag, but overall holding time is longer. So, you know, if there's any listeners out there who are fixing flipping, you're better off betting that it's going to sit on the market a little longer. So don't underwrite like you're going to renovate in a month or two and get out in 2 and the deal works great at 4 months. Like, underwrite for 6 months, see if it works at 8 months. Cause I have some borrowers that's sitting, that they have some stuff sitting and I don't know why. You know, I've seen the properties, they look beautiful, good locations, all that. And then there's still some that like sell quick. So like, it's kind of like no rhyme or reason, but I would say you're better off assuming that it's going to sit longer than expected. And because if you're going to be surprised, you'd rather be surprised that it sells so fast, not surprised that it sits three extra months. So, you know, things I'm telling borrowers I work with is keep enough liquidity to handle that. Because, you know, I don't know what's going on in the economy overall in the country and what our market's going to do, but how you sustain a downturn is having enough reserves. So, you know, I wasn't around and really doing business in 2008, so I can't speak to that, but I'm so conscious of protecting the capital that I've earned through playing in the NFL. I think about like, how do I protect the downside? And it's like, if you're having properties that are cash flowing and you have enough reserves to handle the issues, then you could sustain. The people who end up really screwed is they have little to no reserves. So if you're a fix and flipper and you're trying to scale to 10 projects at a time, and now all your capital's out, if a few of those go bad or sit longer, that's where you're in a position where you have no answers, no options.
Right.
So if you keep a higher cash reserve, it protects for that, and now it keeps you in the game longer. So you might not scale as fast as you wanted, but you scale for sure, and you're not going anywhere.
So don't over leverage, guys out there. Don't over leverage, right?
Yeah.
So good point.
So you probably wouldn't do 10 deals with one investor then, or would you?
If they have enough cash reserves, I would. But that's one of the main things I'm looking at. Like, I'll lend at a higher LTV if you got stuff to cross collateralize. All that's cool, but you can't do that and want to double the size of the deals you're doing and get all your capital out. Like, keep some reserves, because I don't want to take over your property. If you have enough cash reserves, you're going to be able to weather the storm, and I'm not going to have to. I'm protecting you and protecting myself.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Have you seen, because it sounds like you were a leader in the locker room, right? Did you see other people move from stocks into real estate because of track record you were building?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've told this story once before, but while I was playing, I took some riff at different points from coaches and players, because it was kind of like, oh, DK, the real estate guy. Like, I go home and I'm posting content about real estate investing. But while I was playing, I became passionate about it. And it's kind of come full circle, because towards the end of my career, and especially now retired, those same kind of guys
coming to you,
blowing my phone up like, oh, teach me how to do this, or what do you think of this? And it's all love. I give all the help I can, but it is kind of a full circle moment, because I'm like, yeah, this is the same kind of stuff that I was getting hate for. Yeah, like, all right, real estate guy, you gonna post a real estate video when you get home? And I'm like, yeah, matter of fact, I am. But so it's cool. I would say across sports in general, guys are getting smarter. Like, when I first got into the league, all guys really talked about was the stock market and stuff. And middle towards the end of my career, there were a lot more dynamic conversations. And not everybody's super into real estate, but whether it's private equity, ownership, get in instead of just straight marketing deals, trying to get shares and stock out. So like being more business savvy. And I think you're seeing more and more of that. But one thing I always despised is, like, it is so acceptable for the star players to be business people. Like, you have Patrick Mahomes buying sports teams and that, and like, people like post about that and say that, but the kind of culture is, if you're not one of those guys and you're a lower mid-tier guy on a team, you need to keep football the main thing. Keep the main thing the main thing. And I'm like, no, either keep that energy across the board or don't, because those are the guys that actually need to build some momentum when they're done. Because those guys making those top salaries, the Patrick Mahomes, even if they didn't make those investments, I mean, it's going to be hard to blow through that much money. But the guys who are mid-tier, or on the lower tier, those are the guys that should be, pursuing other things, because while they might make good money, it might not be lifetime money necessarily when you factor in taxes, like, and all that. So that's something that I really kind of preach to guys, is like, obviously you got to keep the main thing. And football was the main thing for me for, majority of my life. But I had free time just like everybody else. And some guys are doing other things, and my free time was business and real estate. So it's all how you spend your time.
Have you seen the league put an emphasis on financial education with players?
Yes and no. They try, but it's not that important.
Okay.
Like, they have programs, but like, cause I speak at them and they're good, but it's like a one-day event and I'm on a real estate panel for an hour. That's not like, and you're talking about guys who've never had any real estate, like, to where it's like, it's not even putting a chink in what needs to happen. So I'm actually on the board of Pro Athlete Community, which is not associated with the NFL directly, but most NFL players go through the program. They have over 1,000 members, and it's like a deep dive program. It's like training camp for players in business, and real estate is one of the big things that we cover. And I'm really passionate about that, because it's the best vehicle in the sports world that's actually teaching guys about business and investing and all the different things. So I would say on the NFL and then even the NFLPA, which is the Player Association, they both have programming, and I'm involved in both, but it's just not enough. It's 1 or 2 days, fire round, and I think it will take an outside organization, and that's why I'm part of PAC to like really get guys immersed in learning what to do, how to underwrite, like things like that. Because just because you have money doesn't mean you know what to do with it.
Let me jump in because
Go ahead.
before you got in here, we were talking about the college players now able to get paid. So I wonder what's going to happen there, right? Like we're talking about guys going to the pros. Hey, what are they going to do with their money? Now you got these even younger guys, 18, 19, probably getting some big checks. What's the guy from ASU?
Not even college.
There's some
in
high school.
Really?
So I mean, I hope these parents really educate themselves, because what's troublesome is these kids don't have a clue, but then some of these parents aren't educated and they don't really have a clue either. And then it's so a big thing, like these kids are young, and I don't like the notion of like save everything, you don't need anything, because like at least in the sports culture, you start talking like that and you're going to turn guys off. Because it's like, you're telling me I can never buy the chain that I liked or the watch that I liked. So my mentality, even while I was playing in the league, there was bucket list things that I wanted, but my mindset was I'm going to get it with passive income, not earned income from the NFL. So I'm going to take my NFL money, invest it, and once my investments are generating enough revenue, then reward myself with some of the things that I want. So I think that's the messaging that I would want to give these young kids, is like, they make $100,000. I'm not going to tell them don't buy anything. It's unrealistic. 18-year-old kid, never seen any money, but save 70% of that. Like you're 18 years old, 30 grand, like
that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. Like you got a chance down payment on a car. You like get the nice little, you don't got to get it crazy. You're not little baby out here, but you can get a nice necklace, nice little watch. And then shut it down. Like you don't need more than that. So I think that's the messaging I would give. I think that's the better message, because you try to go in there and teach these high school or college kids of like save every penny. I think you're gonna miss them.
And that's unrealistic, even for adults, right? Even when we get a check or something, it's like, okay, I reward myself with something, right? So that's good. That's good, because that was one of the things that I always saw. I was like, the NFL should really put more emphasis on, and not just the NFL, but NBA, all of these different sports leagues, train these individuals how to take that money that they're making to reinvest it so they can make more money. So.
Right, man. What is your book? You wrote 2 books, you said.
Yeah. So my first book was It All Adds Up. And honestly, I wrote both books because I've read almost every book that I can on real estate and on business and stuff. And there wasn't many people who wrote books who looked like me and come from the vantage point that I come from. So, I feel like with my background, I've been able to get in rooms that a lot of people can't get into. But I've played football my whole life. I've been a part of that culture my whole life. So I can translate it in a way that really relates, and I can have the exact same message as the guy from Goldman Sachs on like how to on portfolio balancing or whatever, but it's going to hit way different for me than it is from that guy at Goldman Sachs. So my mentality is like, I've learned a lot. I don't know everything, but I know a lot about business. I know a lot about real estate, and I can acknowledge that like when I write these books, but I want to write for people who are interested in sports and other athletes and minorities and people of color. It's like, oh, this dude played like 9 years in the NFL and is really into real estate and really into business. Like, oh, I'll pick that up, and like it translates a little better. So that's the why behind both of my books. And so It All Adds Up kind of tells my personal story of how I got a lot of what we discussed today. And real estate side hustle is really like how to be a business professional, a high earner, and start to build your side hustle while you're doing it. And for me, that was real estate and how to do it passively. Because a lot of people say passive investing doesn't work, or it's not real. And it takes intentionality, and it takes a definition of what passive is for you. So for me, it wasn't not working at all. For me, it was about 5 to 10 hours during season a week and 20 hours in the off season a week. And I felt like that was reasonable amount of time to build my portfolio And, you know, if you can't spend 5 hours a week, we have an off day that can get a few hours there, lunch breaks. Like I was just intentional with my time and I felt like it was worth it. So, you know, that whole notion of whether passive investing is real or not, like it's as real as you want it to be. And you get to decide what passive looks like. But if you build the right team and the SOPs in place, you can do it.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I like how you talking about.
You want to go buy a house?
Yeah, so standard operating procedures and everything like that, because a lot of people don't come from that perspective. Even real estate investors that have been in the business for a long time, they look at real estate, you know, as a hustle, right? I need to go and buy this house so I can flip this house into this and to that. But when you talk about SOPs, it lets me know that, okay, this brother, he know what he's talking about, right?
Yeah.
He know he got to have these processes in place, because when you had those systems in place, it gives you the freedom for you to still work, you know, and train and everything like that. Because, hey, it only take me 5 hours because I know this is what I do. Yeah, exactly.
I always say, once you've done something for the third time, it needs an SOP.
So true.
Like, because it's like, if you're just kind of scrambling and figuring it out every time, if you've done it 3 times, you're probably going to do it a 4th, a 5th, a 6th. So that's a trigger for me. Like anything random, there's like a system. Like, oh, I've done this 3 times. What is the process? So so when I have to do it again, it's as efficient as possible. Boom. So you can breeze through it. So when this happens, so it's like loan packages. Since I'm a lender, like I have it within the software that I use, and if I plug in all the correct borrower information, it populates it instantly now.
Right.
Instead of me manually doing that. I've had to, my first couple of loans, I had to manually punch that in. That could take a few hours. Now, I get all the borrower information and it populates it in 5 seconds. That saves an amazing amount of time. So even within real estate, there's tons of things like that, like building your buy box. So your wholesalers know what you want, and things like that, and having automated emails that you send out. Like there's things that can just expedite your process.
And people, they have that misperception of efficiency, right? I look at efficiency as, hey, this is saving me time so I can do what I really want to do, right? And when people build their business, they don't think about that. They don't think about having that automated email. Okay, if I'm sending this same email out to the same, you know, to different people multiple times, all right, let me just create this standardized email. That way I just click, boom, it automatically goes. You know, change the name maybe, and then that's it.
Exactly.
So, good.
Love it. All right, man. So where can we buy those books?
They're on Amazon. It all adds up. And Real Estate Side Hustle, you can find them both on Amazon or my website at devonkennard.com.
Okay.
And you can find my lending company at We Are 42 Solutions. And if you type my name on social, I'll pop up. So, you know, if you're investing here locally in Arizona, reach out for sure.
Love it, man.
Last question. What was your favorite play? If it was at USC or in the NFL, what was your favorite play?
I have a couple, but first one that came to mind, I was drafted by the Giants, and then I wanted to re-sign there, but they gave me a really bad offer, and I was mad because I thought they were going to offer me better. So I ended up leaving. I go to Detroit, and when I went to Detroit, we played New York in Detroit, and Daniel Jones throws like a flare route to Saquon Barkley, and it was behind the line of scrimmage, and I scooped it up and went and scored on my old team.
Scoop and score, huh?
So that scoop and score was a big one. I think it hits even different because it was my first and only touchdown in the league, but also against my old team that should have paid me. So yeah. All right, but now all right, so it's either that one or when I was in Detroit as well. I had some of my best years in Detroit. I came home, had all my family here, and we were playing against the Cardinals, and it was Kyler's rookie season, and I had 3 sacks at State Farm with like all my family, all my friends there. So I went ballistic, family went ballistic. So those go hand in hand for sure.
Okay, there we go.
Great ending, man.
Yep.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for being here, DK, man. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
And we'll be looking forward to you. So if you need some lending, you need some financing, make sure you reach out to DK. I'm sorry, I'm calling you DK.
Everybody call me DK
okay.
too. Yeah. Okay. If we all in the room, all 3 of us gonna turn around.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you being here, man.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for listening to the AZREIA Show with your hosts, Marcus Maloney and Mike Del Prete. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you found this information valuable, head over to AZREIA.org and learn more about our community.